Those of you who have been with my channel for a while know that I love the Danganronpa series. I love the story, the mystery, the twists and turns, the trials, and some of the mini-games. Oh shit, no!
Use toilet paper.
But what really makes this series stand out is the characters. In order for these games to be really effective in its storytelling, you need a strong, sympathetic, and interesting cast of characters to become invested in, and for the most part, Danganronpa nails it. So well, in fact, that it was incredibly difficult to narrow down my picks to just 5, as there are so many characters that I genuinely love. Just a quick note, I will be focusing solely on the 3 main games, so no characters exclusive to Ultra Despair Girls or the anime series. Oh, and obviously spoiler warnings ahead, so watch at your own discretion. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into it. My top 5 favorite Danganronpa characters. Alright, so real talk, I think the cast of Danganronpa 1 is the weakest overall. Maybe it's because it's been so long since I played it, but there aren't a lot of characters that jump out from that particular cast. One of the exceptions is the OG Ultimate Detective, Kyoko Kirigiri. I know what you're all thinking. Kyoko on a best character list? What a controversial and brave opinion. All joking aside, Kyoko is one of the things that really hooked me into the series from the get-go. Kyoko starts off as the stereotypical, mysterious character who seems to know more than they should, with a dash of lone wolf archetypes. She begins the game not trusting anyone in the belief that any one of the students could be the mastermind behind the killing game. She purposely distances herself from the other students, believing that the only person you can trust is yourself, which causes some discord with both her classmates and the player, as you can't help but suspect her to have some sort of ulterior motive. It isn't until she begins to develop a partnership with Makoto that Kyoko learns to trust and rely on someone else. While some may see Kyoko as a boring, emotionless character, I disagree. Despite being a closed-off person, Kyoko is very emotionally intelligent and is able to sympathize with and put herself in another person's shoes, such as how she had Makoto come to terms with Sayaka's betrayal by pointing out how she tried to save him in the end. Throughout her free time events, you see a softer side to Kyoko, as she slowly opens up to you about why she keeps her emotions hidden. She also makes mistakes, such as when she was willing to sacrifice Makoto in Chapter 5's trial, but after realizing the error of her ways, she strives to redeem herself and becomes more open to working with the other students. In the end, Kyoko is a flawed, sympathetic person who develops through the game and comes out a stronger, more trusting person. And while Makoto is technically the protagonist, he would be nothing without Kyoko always being there to help him out of tough situations. She embodies the saying, "Behind every great man is a great woman." Those of you who watched my Danganronpa 2 playthrough know that I love Chiaki. She's cute, she's kind, she's helpful, and she is not on my list. After stepping away from the game for a bit, I realized that there was a girl I loved even more, and that is...
My name is Sonia Nevermind.
When I first met Sonia, I was a little unsure of how to feel about her. Her classic beauty, demure personality, and ultimate princess title gave me the impression that she would be a boring character. Oh, how wrong I was. You would think growing up in an environment of always being pampered, Sonia would be haughty and arrogant. Quite the opposite. Despite being a literal princess, Sonia simply wants to be a normal girl with normal friends. She is extremely compassionate and wants the best for others. From always wanting to believe her friends are incapable of murder, to being willing to literally lay her life down for her country's people. And while Sonia can be airheaded and naive at times, she's actually very intelligent and intuitive, which in turn leads to her being helpful in both the investigations and trials. Sonia is also proof that looks can be deceiving. Despite her ultra cute and feminine appearance, she's obsessed with Japanese culture, the dark arts, and serial killers, aka my kind of girl. There's something about seemingly poised and gentle characters having a dark, twisted side that just melts my cold heart. Probably why I also love Haru from Persona 5 so much. She is best girl, and I will fight you on that. I'll admit that for the first half of the game, I thought she would end up killing someone just because she seemed so sweet and innocent, and I thought it was all an act. However, I was happy to be proven wrong and ended up cheering for her to make it to the end of the game. Plus, I can't really talk about Sonia without at least mentioning her odd friendship with Gundam. So adorable. All hail the Dark Queen. Do you guys hear the sound of distant maniacal laughter? That's right, it's the ultimate lucky student and shit disturber, Nagito Komaeda. Nagito being on my favorite character list may be a surprise to some of you because I tend to gravitate towards characters who are kind, compassionate, and yes, perhaps a little boring, and Nagito is none of those things. Although he initially appears to be a pleasant and helpful character who will be your sidekick throughout the game like Kyoko, during the first trial his true colors show and he soon goes full-on antagonist. He belittles and mocks you throughout the game, does his best to derail the trials, and is just weird as hell. But it's with all these factors considered that he ranks so high on my list. Yes, he may be insane, but he's also one of the best written and most interesting characters in the franchise. He endorses the killings of his fellow classmates, but he does this all in his own genuine, if twisted belief that he's doing the right thing. Nagito obsesses over the idea of a greater good, and does what he believes is right, including killing himself and attempting to sacrifice the other students, all in the name of hope. His twisted sense of morality and cunning brilliance makes him a worthy opponent and compelling foil to Hajime, and I had so much fun trying to figure out his motives, reasoning, and what crazy thing he was going to do or say next. And his death and trial were, in my opinion, the best in the series. He's definitely not the most likable character, but it's hard to deny how much fun and intrigue he brings to the story. I'm not sure why I find Nagito's character so much more bearable and enjoyable than Kokichi, considering they share a lot of similar traits. Is it the hair? Maybe it's the hair. Man, I still can't hear that without getting a little emotional. That's right, number 2 on my list is the ultimate pianist and very short-lived protagonist of Danganronpa V3, Kaede Akamatsu. From the moment I took control of Kaede, I loved her, and she very quickly became my favorite Danganronpa protagonist. Maybe it was partially because we finally had a female main character, Ultra Despair Girls notwithstanding, but it was also her personality that drew me in. Also on a more shallow note, I also love her character design. It's simple but aesthetically pleasing. She's extremely likable but has believable flaws to balance her out, such as her perceived bossiness and her somewhat rigid ideas on right versus wrong. Unlike Makoto and Hajime, Kaede quickly jumps in to take the leadership role. She tries her hardest to help her classmates stay positive in the face of despair, and is the first person to attempt to figure out who the mastermind of the killing game is. Unfortunately, this desire to save the other students is ultimately what gets her killed, as she attempts to murder the mastermind in order to save her classmates from execution. And while I like Shuichi's character arc as the new reluctant protagonist, I wish that Kaede wasn't used as his stepping stone to achieve it, and that she would have had a more developed storyline. If the game allowed me more time with Kaede, I think she easily could have been my number 1 favorite character in the series. Or maybe it's because she was taken away from us so soon that she was so memorable. Kaede is an unfortunate example of someone's good intentions working against them, but it is in this tragedy that we're left with such a memorable character. You deserve better, girl. And before we get to my number 1 favorite Danganronpa character, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Gonta Gokuhara, Aoi Asahina, Kaito Momoda, Chiaki Nanami, Sakura Ogami, Gundam Tanaka, Chihiro Fujisaki, and I could just go on and on, but I should probably stop it here. You guys know I love me a good redemption story, and in my opinion, there's no better one in the Danganronpa series than that of the ultimate Yakuza, Fuyuhiko Kuzuryu. When I first met Fuyuhiko, he definitely rubbed me the wrong way. This guy's like the ultimate, well, he's the ultimate prick, but he's like, yeah, this guy's basically gonna be like my Byakuya, where I'm like, I don't want to hang out with you at all. It doesn't help that he immediately comes off as rude and hostile whenever someone interacts with him. Fuyuhiko even openly declares that he's not there to make friends and will not hesitate to kill anyone if they get in his way. Okay, so right away he seems like nothing more than a baby Byakuya knockoff. However, Fukiko undergoes an amazing character arc in Chapter 2's trial. When faced with losing his bodyguard and only friend Kyoko, he doesn't hesitate to risk his own life to save hers. This trial is pivotal for him to show his true colors for the first time and allow him to make positive progress as a character. It is through this one event that we see that he is not as cold and heartless as we first assumed. In fact, if you pay close attention to the early game, he was never really a genuine jerk, but a kid who grew up in a Yakuza family who doesn't know how to interact with normal kids his age. While most people seem to think he acts rude and standoffish because he wants to come off as a tough Yakuza, or maybe overcompensation for the baby face and height deficiency, this is only part of it. Fukiko also wants to prove he is strong enough to carry on his family's legacy and stand on his own. However, he learns he can also be strong while relying on others, and becomes more open to the other students, even accepting their criticism of him. He doesn't expect his classmates to forgive him, but instead takes real steps to be a better person so that Peiko's sacrifice wasn't in vain. And after he decides to commit to helping the group escape the island, he becomes one of the most fiercely protective and loyal members of the class. Also, I can't find it in my heart to hate this little face, blah. Going from one of my least favorite characters to the best boy, Fukiko is how you do a redemption arc right, and he cements himself at the top of my favorite character list. Alright guys, so that will do it for this very long overdue list. Were you surprised by my choices? Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know who your favorite Danganronpa characters are in the comments section below. And you know, with the yin comes the yang, with the good comes the bad. Stay tuned for my top 5 least favorite character list coming soon. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.